Puerto Rican kid, bald head, loves snakes, loves Blizzy, Sergio Chacon.
Yeah. What up, Pa?
Peace. Welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon, aka Blizzy Chacon. That shit whack.
I mean, it's always gonna be Dirtbag Shit podcast.
The DBS podcast.
Peace and welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon, and I'm here with a very funny comedian, Espi Rivadeneira.
Hey.
Hey,
what's up?
Yo, we met like 6 hours ago, but I feel closeness to you already.
Yeah.
You had me on your show, and I had a great time at the comedy shop. And when you went up on stage, I learned a lot about you in that short time. You were up for like, I say 10 to 15 minutes, and I learned you from Argentina. And you mentioned something very funny that is it Argentines or Argentinians?
You can say either.
Either or.
Yeah.
You can flip it and bounce it how you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that they think they're better than every other Latino
They do.
group. That's so funny.
My dad's like that a lot. He's real intense about Argentinians being the best.
Why is that? Because you guys are close to the to Europeans?
Yeah, that's what, because he's like, oh, I'm basically Italian. I'm like, you're not Italian.
I like the way you scritch out. I'm basically Italian.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I learned that. I learned that you're really funny. I had a feeling you were. And I learned that you're in recovery and that you're a hustler because the thing is, every time I see a produced show from a comic, I will expect a show that's not organized. It was run tight. Your set was tight, and I want to learn a little more about you. So
thanks.
when you were interested in doing the show, when I asked and you say yes, I was like, yes, I'm excited about having you.
Yeah.
So welcome, SB, to the DBS podcast, where it lends itself to dirtbag shit, drugs, beer, sobriety, dogs, boxing, snakes, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It's a platform for all the above.
Hell yeah.
Born and raised?
Albany?
Albany.
Yeah.
Albany's a little dirtbag.
It is.
Yo.
It's,
Yo, first of all, the cold out there is
it's
dirtbag.
so cold. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's bad.
It's a different sort of cold.
It's worse than here.
Yeah.
Because
it's
people
bitter.
are like, say here's bitter. I'm like, no. When I was in college, I went to Hobart, and it's up in Geneva, so it's like 3 hours away from Albany. But it would be like -20 some nights.
Damn.
And they would email us and be like, don't be out for more than 10 minutes. And it was
And you out there
painfully.
with a parka open, smoking a cigarette.
smoking cigarettes,
Smoking-
drinking,
Smoking
being
Lucy's.
trash. Yes, smoking cigarettes off the ground.
So
It's
born
real
and raised in
trash.
Albany. I once went to Albany before, and the thing is, sometimes it's hard to get a gauge of how far shit is.
Yeah,
You look on
yeah.
a map, it's like, oh, it's a quarter inch.
Yeah,
And then you travel for 20
it's
hours.
awful.
It's like a 12-hour
Yeah.
drive.
yeah.
And I got paid like $250 early comedy
Oh,
days.
that's great.
No, it's not great. But a 12-hour drive,
Well, yeah, but to get $250 for a spot.
yeah. Well, hear this out. So maybe it's not great once you hear the story in its entirety. I get a ticket because I'm speeding 110 miles per hour by a Mountie. There weren't even any blue uniform
Yeah.
cops. It was like a Mountie.
Yeah.
And it was a gig that was supposedly for the troops. It wasn't a troop. There was one guy who was a veteran.
Yeah.
And when I went there, I sensed shadiness. I was like, yo, can I get paid beforehand? He's like, yo, sir, you're going to make me run to the ATM? You know there are ATMs out here in Albany? You're going to make me run up the hill to get some money? I was like, yo, dog, I just feel better. We're like behind the curtain, non-working kitchen, broken refrigerator.
So yeah,
Boxes
sounds
was,
weird
like,
actually.
shady.
Yeah.
Plastic was draping the tables. And listen, needless to say, I got $200 from him, and then I had to hustle him out the additional $50. And the gig sucked, and they made
Was
me.
it at a club?
No, it was just like some random
okay.
VFW type shit. Like,
Yeah.
some shit that's put together.
Yeah.
So all that I was drinking at the time, and so it was $250. I had a ticket looming. I didn't know I got a $300 ticket until I got home. Right? And then so it was a mediocre set. A guy that we booked as a guest spot had the best set. He's selling his DVD while we're on stage.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah. The hotel room. I was surprised to find that there was an R&B singer in there. Like I walked into the hotel room
no.
and there's a guy with sunglasses on. I'm like, who are you? He's like, I'm the R&B singer. I was like, hey, why are you in my room? We sharing the room. I was like, okay. There was that. And lastly, I went to an after party.
Yeah.
And the promoter thought it would be great to introduce me to his other Puerto Rican friend. He was like, I got a Puerto Rican friend too.
Yeah.
So he introduced me to this guy, and this guy's rough. Wife beater, yellow armpit stain. I think he had a tattoo on his forehead.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, my man Sergio's a comedian. He just performed it. He starts talking to me in Spanish, the guy.
Yeah.
I don't speak Spanish. He's like, you're a fake Puerto Rican, and walks away.
Oh,
so
my
I was
God.
facing
Yeah.
that. And then I spent like $50 on cocaine, and I was hungover for the rest of the 8-hour drive back home. So that was my experience in
Wow.
Albany.
That's
Albany.
very trashy.
Mad trashy.
Damn. Nope, not good.
Yeah. So how long were you in Albany before you migrated to the city?
So I was like 21, and then I finished school. My parents moved to Austin, so I went down there
I was
for
just
like
in
5
Austin
years.
this past weekend.
Oh, yeah, you went with, yeah.
Yeah.
It looked great.
It was all right.
Yeah.
You're gonna find as this goes on how pessimistic I am about a lot of things.
So I'm not really a fan of. I liked Austin for when I started. I started in Austin comedy there. I did it 2 years, and then I moved here.
You started comedy in Austin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was not. It's better now than what it used to be.
Yeah.
It was kind of cliquey and weird, but I got a lot of stage time, which was good. And then I moved to the city. I think February is like exactly 2 years.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Austin, and it's very bourbon. Like I was on 36th Street.
36.
It's very It was very I would say Louisiana bourbon street style. Like I know I've
It's
never been there, but
yeah.
I imagine it's like that because
Yeah.
there's people barking out of establishment dive bars, $3 shots,
Yeah.
and glow sticks,
Yep.
and mechanical bulls,
And that
all
street
that
gets
shit.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, and I'm
It's
too
all,
old for
like,
that
smoke
shit.
it,
I got
yeah.
salt and pepper in the beat. I can't
Yeah.
participate in those shenanigans.
It's a lot of shenanigans there.
There's a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah.
Shows are the big comedy fans. A lot of comedy going on there. I met that twerp Tony Hinchcliffe. You heard him?
Yeah.
I met him. He's as little as he looks on TV, and his voice is just as annoying.
Yeah, I'd seen him because I tried to sign up for the last time I was there was like a few months ago. His Kill Tony.
Okay.
But I don't know him really.
Yeah.
I never met him or anything.
I met him, and he's as small as you would imagine, and his voice is just as
His
annoying.
voice is bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's no wonder why he behaves the way he does.
Yeah. With that
Because
voice, you
with
kind
that
of have
stature
to.
and that voice.
Yeah.
He's like a Jack Russell.
Yeah.
Except Jack Russell's not intelligent.
Yeah.
Preaching.
Whoa!
So you moved to Austin for a little while, New York.
New York.
All right, and how's your stay been in New York?
I love it.
You like it?
I love it here. I like the hustle because you can do so many spots. That's all I do is comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So I just go
You do
from
comedy full time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because and then I bark to make money. So I just bark and then I go from spot to spot. But that's it.
On the Grizzly.
Really.
And
Grizzly.
for my square audience members, that's on the grind. But we just do a little ZZZ
Yeah.
Grizzly. Sounds cool. It looks good to Espi on a bear like that.
Yeah.
Right to the streets.
I'm on the Grizzly.
How long you been sober?
6 years.
Wow,
Over
so you got some
6.
time.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What inspired the change?
I was blacking out all the time.
So it's a blackout drug.
There was like 2 years, probably the last 2 years I was drinking. It's so fuzzy, which is bad.
Yeah, it is bad.
I don't remember a lot. And
But
I
then
just
you
thought
don't
it
have
was
good
normal.
stories to tell. At least, like sometimes when you're drunk, you're like, at least I got some stories out of it.
I did dumb shit all the time. Like I remember I went abroad a couple times in college, and then one night, and I don't remember this, but we were in Cusco, and the rooftop. Have you been there?
No,
Or you know what it
Cusco?
looks like? Yeah, the rooftops are like close. I don't know how
You
to
got
explain it.
Cusco is where exactly?
Peru. So,
Peru.
Peru,
Okay.
yeah. So all these, they're like all these rooftops. My friend said I climbed
extra
up and I would
ridgy
be. Yeah,
or
they were
flat?
like, oh, they were ridgy, but they were like, oh, you would run up there and like jump across. And I don't remember doing that. I was like, that's crazy though too, because I'm as a sober person, I'm so responsible. But I would never do. One of my friends did that. I would kill them. I'm like, what the hell are you thinking? But I was doing shit like that. I would get into fights with people because I kind of have a bit of a temper.
Mm-hmm.
But I would get into fights. I would just.
You ever got
drink
your
like
ass
crazy.
kicked?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How bad?
I woke up. I was just like bloody. Like I don't remember.
Was it a man or woman?
I'm not sure.
You're
But
not
I woke up. I was
sure?
all bruised up.
Fuck, what
It
was
on
this
the
at?
floor. That was in college. But I was just out on the street.
Stretched out?
Yeah. I was like, oh my
Oh,
God.
that's
Yeah. So
scary.
it was bad. So but that would happen a few times where I was
What, ass
blacked
kickings
out.
or
Yeah.
blackouts?
Blackouts, ass kickings, both.
Really?
I blacked out more often than not. Like I thought that was normal too. I remember talking to other people I would drink with.
That's not normal.
I know. Now
It's
I
not
know.
part of the
but I
drinking.
didn't know. I thought that was just it. I was like, oh, I just drink till I black out. Everyone was like, you can't do that every night. That's crazy.
Just deleting days from your life. Like, yeah, I just don't remember that.
I just don't. And there are like a couple of years I'm like, oh, that's real foggy. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
So how long did that go on for? Like blackout
The
drinking?
blackout drinking, probably 2 years. Because I started drinking when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there's alcoholics all in my family. So my dad was a bad alcoholic, and he got sober when I was like 5 or 6. And I saw just such a huge difference in him. For most of my life, I was like, I'm not going to drink. And then when I was going to college, my older brother pulled me aside, and he was like, we're going to figure out how much you can drink because you're going to be drinking in college. And I had 9 shots of vodka my first time. Yeah.
Your older brothers on that dirtbag shit for real.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then so I was just drinking, and then the next day I got drunk again. I was like, oh, this is great. But like everything that I had thought about my dad and stuff, it just went out the window. I was like, oh, this is
I got
fun.
this. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I'm having a great time.
That was the thing. I loved how I felt. So I just kept drinking every day. And at first it was fine. It was too much alcohol, obviously, but I wasn't blacking out. And then it got just worse and worse.
How would you drink? Would you like have a little like nips, or would you drink at nighttime? Or
I always drank vodka. I drank, Crystal Palace vodka. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
that's
like
real
the lowest
dirtbaggy.
grade.
It's
Yeah.
lowest grade, but it was so cheap. You could
yeah,
get it for like $9, just a huge amount.
Wow.
So I would drink that in a water bottle, and people were like, that's disgusting. Like I wouldn't chase it or anything. I would just be drinking it. Yeah.
Wow.
It was cheap.
Now, so you had the bouts of blackouts. You weren't feeling great, and you managed to get to school even though you were drinking and shit.
Yeah.
Like, it was fine.
I did well too.
Yeah.
I think that made it worse though, because my friends started noticing, like I would lie about how much I was drinking, and I was drinking earlier in the day and then sometimes in class too, and they're like, that's weird. And I was like, oh, well, I'm doing great in school.
I'm excelling.
Yeah. So I was like, it's fine. It's not
I'm
a
on
big
the
deal.
dean's list.
Yeah. I was.
100.
Yeah.
I got the stick with the rainbow.
Yeah, I graduated cum laude, so
Yeah.
I was fine. I was like, it's fine.
I know. It is strange when there's other parts of your life that are being maintained or excelling.
Yeah.
And it could be with your studies. It could even be with stand up.
Right.
I've seen that. I felt that. I was drinking and I felt
When you
like
did
my
stand-up?
I felt like I was just loose and
Yeah.
better at stand up.
Yeah.
And the takeaway from that is like you can't sustain that. There might have been times where I
Right.
like really caught a rhythm and the perfect concoction of drinking and coke, and it's like, oh, I hit it, like the 6 beers, 2 shots,
Right.
and a hit a blow is like bang bang, like
That's what I see with some comics, but I think
Yeah.
as I've progressed, I'm like, oh, I figure out how to be comfortable sober. Like that's the
Yeah,
goal.
yeah, that's
it's
where
like
it's
you
at.
want to
It's
figure it out.
longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to be able to do that without anything.
Absolutely, and that to be applied in everything in life. You
Right.
feel it all. You feel it.
Yeah.
It might take a little. It may feel like it takes a little longer to get to where you want.
Yeah.
But you're feeling it. You're living it, and it's just a more sustainable way to go. How'd you go about getting
sober?
Yeah.
So I kept blacking out, and then in college I was like, this is a problem, because I started getting the shakes and stuff. I was like, and I felt really bad all the time. So I was trying to cut back, and it was really hard. And then, but I kept relapsing. Like I just couldn't do it.
How long would it be? What were the spaces?
One time I went for a week, and then after that I was like, I kind of did it more to prove a friend, because she was like, I don't think you can do it. And I did, and then I went ballistic.
Yeah.
And I had like 20 drinks that night or something. And then after that, it was really sporadic. I was just drinking all the time. So then I moved to Austin, and my parents were like, they kind of have a rule. There's 5 of us. So they're like, you can stay with us for like a year, just get a job, get your life together, and then you're out. And so I was there for a couple months, and they could tell something was off because I looked bad too. I gained like 20 pounds from all the drinking. My skin was gross. So they were like, she doesn't seem good. And my 22nd
I can't
birthday-
imagine you 20 pounds. You said 20 pounds.
Yeah, I looked. It's funny though, because my friend, so like one of my friends from college, she
I
lives
wish
here.
you had a picture.
It's so gross. I got rid of all of it. It was bad. It was like, I'm sure I wasn't like
Because,
fat, but
you guys don't like. She's so petite, and like I've never
Yeah.
imagined like you're just like But see, like I can't imagine
No.
you high being 20 pounds.
It's because people in college that see me now, they're like, "Oh my God, you look great," because
Yeah.
I looked bad.
And isn't it amazing how quickly that happens? How much better you look and feel?
It was a few months, and I was starting to. I
shut it
noticed like
off.
my pant size. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
You like
And
that, like, fucking
yeah,
Jenny
that
Craig
yeah. I was like,
right?
okay. And it's fast though. It was just from
It's
not
fast,
drinking.
yeah.
Because then when you drink too, you're eating garbage.
Absolutely. And you got to understand, so when I stopped drinking, I was like 200, 205. I immediately cut 15 pounds off
That
the
was
bat.
it.
And I was working out during so I was one of those people who worked out.
I did
and drank,
too.
and
I
thought
would
it was the
run.
shit.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, with the shirt on, I look good. Then I was like, oh, man, that's a
that's not
surprise. There's dimples. And you're very white. You're very white and very dimply. So it was like very, surprising.
Yeah.
But you lose the weight
You lose the
quick.
weight fast. So then so my dad, for whatever, he hates AA. Oh, what happened? So the last time I drank, I was on 36. This was in Austin. It was like a few days after my 22nd birthday, and I got into a fight with some guy, and then at the bar, and I don't really remember.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah, and it was bad. And then because the police grabbed me, but I think because I'm like a petite girl, they didn't arrest me, but my parents came to get me, and that was when they realized like how bad it was, and they're very strict. So the next day they were like, you know what? If you can't get it together, you're just out. And I knew that they mean it too. So I was like, all right, I gotta. So there's this thing online. I think it's called Hello Sunday Morning. That's what it used to be called, or Daybreak. It's like AA, but it's through the computer. Because my dad didn't like AA. He was like, oh, they're too easy-going on people. Because he relapsed
So you want
all
like
the time.
like a online sober retreat sort of thing.
Yeah, and I used that. And I didn't tell him, because my parents were, for a long time, they were weird about therapy and stuff, too. Because he's an immigrant. My mom's super Italian.
So they're more like cold turkey to stop doing the type of shit.
Yeah.
And just leave the layers of fucking things that needs to be resolved is compounded on you.
Well, that was the thing. I'm not mad at them now, but I remember trying to talk to them about it before, and they didn't really listen. They were like, you're fine, because I think they wanted it to seem like, oh, we have no problems in the family. Now they're much more attentive. I think after seeing me like that, they were like worried. But my dad was like, I was worried somebody killed you or whatever, but I was all busted up too. So they were like very concerned about it. So now they're much more, they ask about what's going on and everything. But for a while they were very, I don't know, they didn't want to like deal with it, which I don't blame, I don't know. And I wasn't, when they blew it off the first time I brought it up, I was like, oh, I'm probably fine. I'm probably overthinking this. But after that, so I used that website for like a year. Every day I would write about how I was feeling, and there would be other people on there, which was helpful because it's like, oh, this person's been sober for like 5 years, like what do? They would write their own posts, so I would go look at that and see what was going on. Yeah.
And how long were you in that program?
A year.
A year.
I could have kept with it, but after the
You felt good
year,
after that year.
I was like, I think
And
it's
that was
fine.
it. So that got it.
It was good, and then
A relapse here and there. A little,
no
little
relapse.
slip
That was the 6 years, and then there are times. I mean, I think,
So 6 years from that
6
program.
years.
That's great.
and I didn't relapse. I think like a year ago, around the pandemic, I was very depressed and worried about relapsing. I went to an AA meeting on Zoom or whatever, and that kind of helped reset me. But I have a lot of sober friends now, like a lot of comics, are sober, so it's nice to be able to talk to them too.
I love my sober comic friends, man.
Yeah, me
because
too.
It just takes sometimes. I feel like shit today.
Yeah.
I'm tired. And the other day I walked by, and I'm just saying this. What I might say to somebody, right? The other day I walked by a bar, and it smelled like beer, and there was people smoking cigarettes outside the front. It looked fun.
Yeah.
And then we just went down the list of what happens after. It's consequential thinking, and that helps me a lot.
That helps me
Consequential
too.
thinking helps me.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need, someone to be, who can internalize what the fuck we're
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah.
and it snaps you right out of it. How so if you have those temptations, what steps do you take? Do you talk to like your friends or whatever?
I talk to my friends. I have like some of my best friends, they're sober, so I just talk to them. And one of my buddies recently, he had an extra, the big book or whatever, so he's going to give that to me soon. But I try to keep up. I mean, I go to therapy every week, and sometimes I don't think I need it, but I just try to take care of my mental health all the time. I know stand-up helps a lot, because I feel like, oh, I have to be healthy to be focused on comedy.
That's interesting. Sometimes I feel like stand-up. And, there's difference because I've been doing it.
You've been doing it
I've been doing it a long time. And I do feel, and this is for me, and I'm not saying stand-up. Any job has a potential of it has its potential hazards.
Yeah.
But what we do is very special.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a firm believer, like, we get to fucking go up on stage and fucking share what we created, make people laugh. And, it's hard to do. Stand-up is fucking hard. We know, right?
Yeah.
Shit is hard. But I definitely, what happens to me is that if I think 9-10 years ago and when I was doing stand-up drinking, I feel like that place is never too far if I'm not careful, if I'm not super careful.
Right.
And that could be just from being out late, being around alcohol so much.
That's hard. That part, especially because I'm barking more, so I'm out later now. Like the later shows, it gets hard because you're around people that are doing coke, drinking, smoking, and then people they're trying to be nice, but they're like, hey, do you want this? Let me get you a drink. And you're like, no. So that's a little stressful. But I always think for my set, I'm like, for an optimal set, I can't be doing that stuff, or I have to eat right. Even sugar and stuff, I try to watch out for because I'm like, I want my head to be clear.
Yo, you're sharp because that shit all matters.
It does all matter.
That shit all matters. Like if I have a dirtbag meal, like something heavy, it's like a
it's
fight.
bad.
Like if, you're lethargic. Your mind, your body is too busy processing that shit, and you're not sharp. If I eat light and so a lot of fruits and vegetables and a lot of water, like I'm just sharper. Like I can respond to shit.
Yeah,
and
sleep too. I try to get myself to bed at a decent time, and then just let myself sleep as much as I need and go. But I feel like because I'm focused on my health.
You live it sounds like you live a very disciplined, rigid life.
It's pretty disciplined. I could use more breaks, but
Where do you think that you learned that from, or is that something is that from your mother?
That's from my
father?
family.
Yeah.
Both my parents are very strict, and my dad's an immigrant, so he's from Buenos Aires, so he's real. They were always like on us, even as little kids. Like, if we got an A in class or something, they'd be like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Wow.
So.
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires.
Home Che Guevara.
Yes.
Are you a fan of Che?
Che.
I like Che.
Yeah.
I like
Che's
Che.
cool.
So all my Cuban motherfuckers who don't like Che because you're from Florida now, deal with it, all right?
And I was a teacher. That was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Every teacher I know is a drunk.
No, they are. And they party so hard. That was the last person I drank with.
I had great times with teachers. So I'm like, you're teaching? Like, yes, I got kindergarten class tomorrow. I'm like, you teaching the kids tomorrow?
Yeah, they're wild.
Yeah. What is it about that profession?
It's so stressful. It's the most, I was like, that's the most stressful job I've ever had.
Kindergarten kids are 6?
No, they're
five.
Yeah. First grade 6.
Right, first grade 6.
So they make you.
You're bending over a lot.
Bending over. You're up all day.
You're up all day.
They make you. You have parent conferences. You have to deal with all the kids. Just everything is like they have so much on your mind. Grading stuff. People are like, oh, it's only from like 8 to 3, and you're like, no, it's really from like 6 to 5 or 6 to 6. You're working so late, and then you got to do conferences and book
and
fairs.
You don't get paid well.
You don't get paid well at all, and they expect you to buy everything for the kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, teachers and schools and restaurants got hit hard during the pandemic. We all got hit hard, but I felt bad for teachers. They had to make that shit happen like quick, fast.
Yeah.
And if you were a teacher above the age of 45, you know how to use the computer really?
And then you're screwed. They struggle.
I have no internet.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was bad. So I quit that, though. I was just like, I'm done. Because I was in Austin teaching full time, and I would be teaching, and I did all the mics I could do every night. They were like 3 to 4. So I would do that every night. But I would get home
in addition to
at midnight teaching. So I'd write on my lunch break, and then I would go do stand up, and then after 2 years, I was like, it's either one or the other, and I quit mid-year. I was like, I'm going to New York. I had no plan. I just showed up to New York and kind of figured it out.
That's dope.
My parents were so pissed. They were like, you're crazy.
And so it's been 2 years?
Yep.
2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Do you who would you say because you're younger than me, who would you say was a comic that you were like, oh shit, I want to do this? Like, was there one comic?
I watched. My dad watched a lot of stand-up. My family's strict, but they're really funny, and my siblings are all. I think they're funnier than I am. We would watch Seinfeld, the sitcom, and his stand-up, and who is it? Kevin James from King of Queens. We watched him, Chappelle, and we watched Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I always liked Seinfeld because I was like, my stand-up's not like his because mine's very personal, but he can just make anything funny, and I think that's so cool. That's the hardest thing for me to do. Like, he'll talk about doing laundry, and he makes it hilarious, or like a little spot in the shower, stuff like that.
I loved his show. I love Seinfeld.
That show cracks me up. I
love that show.
Yeah.
I smoked a lot of weed during that time, and I just loved that show. It was so much fun. All the characters. I just thought I mean, my favorite character from that show was George.
George was great. I like Kramer though, cause he's weird. I like that zany. He just bursts
but
in.
that go, cause he's like busting through the door. And he got the hair.
Yeah.
But George was like a character that I felt was in a lot of people I knew. He was neurotic. He was cheap.
Yeah.
He would lie. He would fucking lie. He was an asshole.
He was an asshole.
Push people out the way. If there was a fight.
Very selfish.
Very selfish. And I have stories and my friends and I know a bunch of people who have bits and pieces of the negative characteristics of George, which is hilarious. One time I was filming a short sketch in my studio apartment. My daughter was like a year old, and she had like a mosquito net on the above the crib. But it's a studio apartment, so I got a Murphy bed, the baby, the crib, and we're shooting me on the bed doing something. I have like a hard hat on, like I'm a construction worker getting up, and I have the whole get up. The guy shooting it, he's not really getting paid. So his attitude is like, oh yeah, like, minimalist, like, and so he's putting duct tape on a light, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, it smells like fire. He's like, no, it's fine, yeah. I don't need to go back to the truck to get the visor for it.
No.
And I was like, you sure? Like, I could wait. No, it's fine. And lo and behold, that shit started flaming.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I don't know, you got an extinguisher? I said, no, I don't have an extinguisher. I got cat litter, and because I had like 3 cats in the studio apartment, a pit bull that used to pee all over the place. And he fucking runs out.
My God.
He runs to the kitchen to get water. The producer runs out, like pushes like everybody. Like, he like left me on the way. And his excuse was, I was looking for the cats. I was rescuing the cats. Yeah, so it was like, yeah. It was like, and we was like hitting it and whatever.
Yeah.
And all for a sketch, all for the sake of comedy.
Yeah. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, for real.
Mm-hmm. You got a pit now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking care of one for a buddy right now. She's great.
How sweet are they?
They're so loving. They get a bad rap a lot of time. She sleeps with. She wants to snuggle all the time. She's very protective of me. She's great.
Do you have any animals?
No, I used to have when I was living in Austin. We had a rabbit for like 10 years. And he would run around.
Yeah, I've had a rabbit before, and they just the rabbits I had. I tried to breed them. My mother and I thought it'd be a great idea. We were living in the projects at the time. She thought it'd be a great idea to breed the rabbits and sell them during Easter times to our neighbors. And my mother came out with a little hacksaw blade and 3 pieces of fucking 2x4s, and she tried to build a cage, and the cage was all crooked. My mother was very creative.
Yeah.
And it was like barbed wire, because we had a model type that we got from Petland, and then she tried to make her own. And it was all crooked and shit. Then we got a female rabbit that was huge.
They're big. They can get big.
Huge.
Yeah.
And we named her Jessica because it was Jessica Rabbit from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And then we got a white rabbit from a neighbor named Estelle on the 3rd floor. And she used to talk like this.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'll let you the rabbit, but if they have kids, you better split them with me. And I was like, yes, Estelle, we can do that.
But they probably had a ton of kids.
No. We didn't know how to breed them. I put the male in the female's domain, and she kicked his ass.
Oh my God!
She took him by the neck and smashed him from both sides of the cage. They never had babies.
Wow!
She used to whip his ass. And Estelle was like, I know you got the babies. She used to yell at us. We'd be in the hallway. And she's like, I know that rabbit is pregnant. I know that rabbit is pregnant. There's no way the rabbit's fucked. And you're telling me that the rabbit's not pregnant? I was like,
It
no,
won't.
yeah. So now we had to deal with this lady on the 4th floor. I said, I want my rabbit back. And we
Yeah.
gave her a rabbit back with like bruises. And a
Oh
fucking
my
cat.
God.
It was awful. It was an awful experience.
Wow.
But yeah, rabbits, they shit a lot. And
Oh my-
contrary
they
to what
shit
everyone
all over.
believes, they don't always have babies, especially when you put the male in the female's domain. I think it's supposed to be flipped
Territorial.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, how long you had the rabbit for?
10 years.
Oh, wow.
He had a litter box. My mom trained him.
Oh, that's
So he
dope.
would just walk around. He was kind of like a dog.
Yeah,
really.
that's dope if you could train them. Their
Yeah.
poop is annoying because they poop a lot.
They
It's like
poop all
small little
over. I
pellet.
took care of 2 because that's what I do sometimes for extra money is I'll take care of people's pets. So I had 2 at my
You know I
apartment.
got a lot of pets. You're looking for another job.
Oh, yeah?
You're
Yeah.
like,
Hey. I'll
Like,
take it.
interesting. I can,
If you're gone,
yeah.
I'll take them.
I may need you.
Yeah, and I
but
live
I
in
have
the studio.
snakes. You fucks with snakes?
I don't know yet. I never dealt.
Okay.
I'm really good with dogs, kids, all kinds of pets. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's good to know.
What kind of snakes do you have?
I have Burmese python,
I
boas
saw
constrictors, rainbow boas,
yeah,
all
yeah,
that
the
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been doing a great job of leaving the enclosures open. And every morning I have to search for a snake.
Oh, my
and I've been
God.
lucky enough to find them within a half hour. But
Wow.
I'm very responsible, Espi.
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to
It
tell
doesn't
you.
sound like it.
So stupid. So stupid.
Can't they go through?
Yeah, they go through everything.
Yeah, they
I
go
found
through
one in the
pipes.
drawer. I found one next to my punching bag. Luckily, none of them across and went under the stove or something.
Yeah. What'd you do because you went to Austin? What'd you do with them?
Well, then in the enclosures for a short weekend, my wife can hold it down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they don't
Yeah,
need
yeah.
water. I freshen up their water, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, they could wait. You could change the water every 3 days or 4 days or so.
Oh, okay.
You know. So Seinfeld is a big inspiration. I actually had the joy of bringing him up on stage one time.
Oh, wow.
You know Giannis?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he had a character named Mauricia.
Yeah.
And a bunch of Puerto Ricans came out. New York was in abundance. And it was a sold-out show at the Gotham Comedy Club. And it's a 3-man show.
Yeah.
Me, Mauricia, she, and Giannis. And they told me, oh, yo, Seinfeld's doing a guest spot. And I told the audience they were already hot. And the audience
Right.
didn't believe it. And they were just so excited.
Yeah.
And when he came up, man, he did his thing for like a half hour. It was pretty fucking
Yeah.
dope. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty dope.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he comes in, you know, with the bodyguard, leaves the car in the front. He's in and out.
Sure.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
He seems like he just wants to do it and then get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know, man. That's a disconnection from people. I don't know if that's necessary too, Seinfeld. I don't know if that's necessary.
I think that's hard, but I'm sure if you're that big, because
Yeah.
I don't like when it's funny because I'm so personal in my sets, but I'm also kind of shy as a person and a little bit like anxious, like walking alone at night and stuff. You know what I mean? Just as a girl. But I think it's weird. Sometimes the audience will come up to me and be like, oh, I like that bit about your family. And that's like weird to me. I've learned to just be like, oh, thank you. But sometimes I'm like, oh, it's strange how people think they can just come up to you. And I'm not anywhere near Seinfeld
I hear what
level.
you're saying.
So I
And
feel like
just,
that's
that just happens more
Yeah.
and more.
Yeah.
That just happens more. That like, yeah, I'm not crazy about that either.
Yeah.
The thing is, when I was drinking, I blended right into that. Like,
I'm
I
sure
was
'cause you don't
totally
care.
different. Yeah, and you know, getting sober. Like, I remember having to. Like, that shit was wild because
Right.
I would drink and go right into the audience.
Right.
And I would be with them. I would hang out with them.
Yeah.
And it was all, and I lost that. Like, I'm very.
well, that
I'm-
might be good though.
No, yeah,
Sometimes it's-
absolutely. I don't miss it.
You don't want to.
I'm also, but I would like be a part. I would be a part of that
Right.
same vein. And now I'm very much like,
Yeah,
I'm
I've had
very,
to. Yeah.
like, I'm careful with my energy. What were you gonna say?
Yeah,
Mo?
that's what I feel like. Because I try to just be around hardworking comics, stuff like that. But I remember I used to be, not mean, but I would kind of blow people off. And I did improv before stand-up. And I had this teacher. She was an actress. That was like her thing. But she always told us, she was like, oh, if somebody compliments you, just take it gracefully. Like, you can talk to them for a minute. And then, so I just do that. Where I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And then just kind of keep it moving. So you're not blowing them off. But I kind of get why I listened to Neil Brennan on, I think it was Pete Holmes' podcast. He was like, I'm so focused all the time. He's like, people think I'm a jerk because I think he blows off people probably more than Seinfeld from the sound of it. But I was like, I kind of get it if you're so focused all day and you're working as much as they are.
And you know what? They've given enough. They give you an hour of their time
Yeah.
on stage. Nobody, people want to touch and feel and be
But they think they're like friends with
Yeah.
you because on stage you gotta seem like that. I
Yeah,
think.
I had Mark Norman on here. He was like, "Oh, you'd be surprised. They grab me, they pick me up. I don't want to be picked up." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's so funny."
Yeah.
And he's a guy, and I think what happens is, especially in this podcast era, where it's like that's behind the scenes shit.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about the mundane, everyday shit. People listening are doing everyday shit, so they got a closeness.
Right.
And then when they see you, they feel like they really know you.
Yeah.
And they want to, it is interesting. It is interesting. And there's some people who you can vibe with better. I can't fuck with people who are drunk.
I hate that.
hate
They're
that
like
shit.
children. It's funny because I think
And I could spot it like
Teach-
before they
Yeah.
even speak. I could just see the movement.
they can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tell. They remind me. Drunk audiences remind me of like little kids. That's what reminds me of like a kindergarten class. Just be like, all right, because their energy's so all over, But I don't like dealing with drunk people either. Like the late shows, I'm glad I'm doing them more often now, but that can really irritate me.
Yeah, I say no to them.
Now
I won't even do
yeah.
them.
I'd be like, I have to. I'm still young.
Yeah, no, I
to
get it. I
have
get
to
it.
do
But I'll say, I just know it's not gonna. I'm not that sort of. I don't have the personality to make
Yeah.
that shit work. Like you book me for that shit,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get angry if someone's drunk. Like it depends the venue too.
Right.
But I just know I can smell when it's like, is that kind of? I can't do it.
Yeah.
Because it requires a lot of you.
That's
Uh,
funny because you seem like you would be good.
I
Got it.
appreciate that. I probably can be,
Right.
but I definitely put it like this. I set my veils. The cutoff time I like to put is 11 p.m. because I
Wow.
like my early mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer not to.
Yeah.
Now that shit starts drying up a little bit. I'm like, hey, I'm available. For
Yeah.
Because you know how we get when it
We were
starts
like,
to,
oh, I need
if the
it. I
schedule
need
gets
it.
a little light.
Yeah.
When it's heavy, you're like, I could do a 6 p.m. spot.
Yeah.
Is dinner included?
No, I hear you.
Yeah. So that is, and that it is interesting, right? How we're in we're sober and we're in a field where it's
So
surrounded
much.
not only
yeah.
by the people entertaining, but the audience, obviously.
Yeah. It's all over.
It's all over.
It's all over the place.
Yeah. I definitely prefer someone who smokes weed over.
I don't know. I did a show in Staten Island like last month where it was a weed show.
Oh, was that? But that's in abundance, right? So,
Yeah,
like,
and LA too. I went there
and
like
what is
2 months ago, and there's
too
so
dumbed
much
out?
weed, and it's like you have to be slower and just more because that's why I was like, I don't know if I was like, maybe I like the drunk crowd more because I can get I think I get away with being kind of aggressive sometimes because I'm small and really like snapping back at people. So sometimes the drunk crowd brings something out of me because I think my set's like kind of lower energy than other people, but yeah, the high crowds are just hard because they're
Interesting.
not-
That makes sense. They get
they're
dumb.
all high.
They're like,
They are
"Oh."
dumb, and they take a minute to like
Yeah,
click what you're saying.
Trying to figure it out, making it a bigger deal than
Yeah.
what it is. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, they really sit there and think about it. You're like, all right, this is.
They're kind of like children too.
They are.
Yeah, they'll like
Yeah.
lift their foot up
Yeah.
on a fire hydrant to tie the opposite shoe. Like
That's
I've seen
what
them
they're
just
like.
that. Yeah, you don't smoke.
No, I quit smoking cigarette. I think it's like
You don't smoke weed or cigarettes. You're like sober.
sometimes I'll have like a weed edible. I like shrooms once in a while.
Yeah,
I like
I
shrooms
wish
once in a
I
while.
could. I wish I could find the perfect grade. I just never know what the perfect grade is.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Shrooms,
just a
just
little,
a little bit.
I was doing my friend's podcast, and his sponsor was a CBD.
CBD.
Yeah, it was like a sour patch.
Yeah.
And I had like 4 of them. He's like, whoa, slow down. Like, I had to drive.
Did it make you high?
No, but I was
You
so
felt
relaxed.
very
I was
relaxed.
like, every word flowed out like butter. I wanted to get there. I was like, I need that same concoction.
CBD's nice because it's gentle. There was a drink in LA.
I need a
It's
soft
good.
hand, not a heavy hand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a drink in LA. It's like 2 milligrams THC for CBD. And that's because I'm small. Like weed, when people, they would like pass me a joint, that I would just be like out of my mind. But just the tiny, like someone might give me an edible and I'll just cut it up and save it. There's like pieces of it in my
That's
fridge.
hilarious.
Because I can't, and I don't really like it either because I'm
It's
go,
a big
go.
fucking surprise. Every time you do an edible, you never know
You
what
never
you're getting.
know. So I chop them up into like 12 pieces because I'm like, I only need a little bit. I don't know if it's because I'm small or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Well, also because we're sober, like our tolerance is like,
That's the
it's
thing
like
too.
slim to none.
Yeah.
You know, the other day I was at a podcast and it was smoking in there, and the secondhand smoke, I got
You can get
contact.
high off
And
that.
I felt good. I was walking down the street, rubbing my hands like a fly, walking the dog, and it felt good.
Yeah. But only a little bit.
A little bit.
That's it with the shrooms too, because people have told me horror stories with shrooms. I'm like, I just take a low dose because it helps, because I get depressed like every so often, and then I feel like that I'm good for a couple months. I do that.
You
opens me
suffer
up.
from depression?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a dip that you.
It's just a big dip, and then I feel like terrible, and I'm like just really negative.
You exercise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I run. It helps.
That
I
shit
haven't.
helps.
It's been better the past couple of months, but I also wonder if it's, I don't know, just continuing to eat well, work out, having a good routine.
Yeah. It's a concoction of everything. It's proper rest, eating. You know, I was telling you earlier before the mics were on. For me, disconnecting.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny because who knows what the fuck I'm, you know, like subconsciously. But I posted taking a little bit of a break. I said I'll be gone from this for a bit.
Yeah.
This is on Instagram. Be back soon. Need to contact me, email or cell phone. Now leave that there. And it was very abrupt, but I didn't really, and I just didn't want to do a long post.
Right.
But then people are hitting me up like, is everything okay?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
want that.
Yeah.
And that annoyed me because am I that dude? Like, hey, I'm leaving here. I think I was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
dude. I was like, fuck, I didn't want to be that dude.
But you do need to, because I noticed that too. I was like, I need to cut back on my screen time, because you get sucked in, and they're designed to suck you in too.
Yeah, and it feels mad unhealthy. And it also feels unhealthy if you got some other shit going on. That, in addition, like if you're tired and then you're on your phone, you're even more tired. And then you got a clouded brain.
It's cloudy. It like makes my focus bad. I'm trying to just read more books instead of, it's like, all right, just put your phone down, read.
Yes.
Because that
And I need
helps
to
focus.
do that.
Yeah. And I think it's bad too, like, because if you're looking, I went insane. Anytime I follow somebody, I just mute them, even if it's a friend, because it's just not realistic, because everybody's posting their best stuff, and I don't think that's good, because then you're like, oh, this person, I don't want to feel jealous either of anyone or anything, or like, oh, why aren't I doing this? Because I'm doing everything I can, so I'm like, I don't want to.
Wait, hold up right there. I love that. And I think we need to put more emphasis and celebrate. I do what I can. Yo, dogs, I have a fucking bad set, and a lot of times I'll look back. And like a bad set for me these days, because I've been doing, like, they kind of roll off the shoulder, like, but
right.
It's a bad set, right? Like, you know when it's bad and when it's good. And I'm also like, my attitude is like, yo, I tried my best. Like, I did my best, right? Bad set.
But you learn from that too.
You learn from
it's
that.
bad because you tried something. Usually,
right,
I think.
Right. Well, sometimes it's just bad. I hate when it's bad, when a thing is bad, and I feel like I bullshitted it. Like, that happened because I didn't want to figure it out. I just kind of mailed it. And I hate when I do that. And I do that. Like, you know, it's just like, but what I'm saying is a bad day is just a bad day. It's, you know, it's all fucking, no one's exempt. You know, we all have a bad day, bad set, you know, a bad spat with our partner.
Right.
It's all part of life, right? And what was it? What you said? You said something I was trying to.
I was saying how I kind of muted everyone.
But
like,
after that, I was trying to make a point.
Don't want to feel jealous, because I'm doing all that I can already.
Right. So it's like that is so important to say. Hey, you're doing what you can.
Yeah.
And that's being present, right? It's like, I'm doing what I can, and allowing that to be it, and be happy with that.
Right.
A lot of us are not happy with that. We're too consumed with the past.
I started to get too. I'm trying to take more breaks, and I'm not. I'm still doing comedy every night, but I set aside time now, because I did something really dumb a few months ago where I was so busy that my account got hacked, and I was lucky to get it back, but it was just a dumb thing where I was like, oh, I was low energy. Someone hit me up. I like clicked on this link. It was just a dumb that I would never do, because I'm pretty paranoid anyways, because most of my friends were like surprised. They didn't get anything. I was lucky, because I kind of realized what was going on, and I disconnected my PayPal and stuff. But for me to even do that in the first place, I was like, I need to slow down, because it was like 7 a.m. I wasn't thinking. I was just up because I I was like, I'm gonna wake up at 7 every day and write, and it was just too much. It was like way too much. And I was like, if I don't take a break, my friend sent me this video about how if you have a garden or something, you can't overwater it and keep you can here and there, whatever it needs. Yeah. But then after that, it's, especially because I'm still 4 years in, and I hear a lot of comics being like, that's not that much right now. So it's like, just do my reps and then keep going. I'm doing everything I can. I write every day. So I was like,
I think your discipline and will is you're gonna see some nice results to it. Do you the barking, talking to strangers in the street?
That helps. I think.
Helps?
I think it's helped because like I said, I think I'm naturally shy or introverted.
I like the way you look at that too. Like
yeah.
I would find that hard to do.
I think it helps my because I wrote down I wanted to be better at riffing this year too. And it's like now I'm just talking to strangers. I try to make them laugh or something or connect with them. Like, oh, I like your jacket or something.
So you look
dumb.
at everything as like a benefit. It's not like I got to begrudgingly do this. Like you look at the benefit.
I try to do that, yeah. Because I feel like that's helping my stage presence too. And then they already know me a little bit. Because I do pretty well barking. Like I can bark in 18 people a show. So it's like a bunch of them already have seen me outside. So I already have that connection. But it is sort of helping.
What was the last book you read? And what would you recommend?
I read, it was just a fiction, The 5 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
I felt like I didn't read that, but I've heard of it.
It was excellent. It's very dramatic. It's really good.
Who's the author?
I don't know.
I'm reading Will Smith's autobiography.
Is that good?
It's really good.
He's very wise.
He's very wise. It's very good. It's very good. It's he comes from a family of disciplinarians, and he has one part in the book where his father he doesn't want to spend the money on building a wall outside of their shop or whatever, and that shit took forever. And he was like, it's brick by brick. It's like an analogy throughout the story.
Right.
And how, thinking too much about when's this shit going to be over rather than just focusing on each brick,
Yeah.
We really hit, I was like, oh, I like this, you know? And how once he just focused on each brick, it just became easier.
Right.
They're not thinking about how much we did already or how much is in the future, brick by brick.
Yeah.
And he literally built a brick wall and as a child. And that's illegal. My daughter ain't doing that shit.
Yeah, no.
I have a hard time with her getting change the cat water, change the
dog out.
Yeah, the dog's water, the cat. Even though they're all dirt bags, all the animals in the house share one fucking water bowl.
Yeah.
And it's pink for my for my cat's stupid snout.
Snout.
Yeah. It's he got one of those Persian faces. And so it's disgusting. I'm like, can you change the water? She's not building a brick wall. She's not building a brick wall. Did your parents have you do things like that?
Yeah, they had us. Speaking of bricks, my mom sometimes would just have us in the driveway, take bricks, build them up at the end, then unbuild them and bring them back up to the front. It was pointless.
Yeah.
But she would have us just be outside doing things. She would just kick us outside.
That's hilarious.
Go play.
Well, you grew up in the city or more like a suburban area?
It was a suburb. So it was in Albany.
Did you fight? Oh, yeah. So did you? I'm thinking Argentina. When you went to Argentina, when you visited there, was it a farm-like, or you didn't really visit there as a kid?
I was in Mendoza, so it was kind of a nice blend of city, and then you could take a bus or something to the mountains, an hour.
Okay.
So it was a nice blend.
Yeah. Do you like it out there?
I loved it. I haven't been back. I went when I was in college, so it was
And I bet your Spanish is beautiful.
Yeah, no, I don't use it really now.
You could probably do
but I could still do.
You could probably do stand-up in Spanish.
I could. That makes me really nervous. It
That's
just feels
good.
different, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
there's a whole fucking market for that. That's untapped, really. Carmen Lynch, you know Carmen Lynch?
Yeah.
Very funny. She does that shit in Spanish. And that's a whole other avenue.
That is, yeah.
See the whole other world. I wouldn't be able to pull that shit because I don't know.
I wonder though if I thought about it. I tried it in Austin a couple times and it was fine. And I was using Spanish every day because my class was in Texas. It was all Mexican kids. And but it's just hard. I think my voice is funny in English because when I speak Spanish, I sound more feminine. You know what I mean? But my voice in English is kind of nasal. I don't know. Probably because my parents, they have that Brooklyn accent. They're kind of nasally. So.
And they're still in Albany.
No, they're in Texas now.
Oh,
they're in
Texas
Austin.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's in Albany now?
My brother Chris is in Colony, which is like 20 minutes away, and he lives there.
And and so you said you were like in the suburbs out there, but no like not farm life animals. Like
no
not farm life. Okay.
They didn't really want pets. They were just my parents were so focused on just like getting everybody into college. They were like, we don't want to spend extra money on no vacations, just like do good at school, go to college.
The relationship between you and your siblings is cool. You said they're funnier than you.
I think they are. I
Are
think
you the youngest, oldest?
I'm the middle.
Okay.
Middle. It's fine. I don't really talk to my two older brothers. We're just so different now. Like we're all kind of doing our own thing. And then my younger siblings I'm closer with. But
and
yeah.
when you were getting sober, what was their role in you getting sober? Did one assist you more than the other, or they all kind of led their own lives and you?
They kind of led their own lives. And when I was drinking, I could be a mean drunk, so I felt like they didn't really want anything to do with me. And sometimes I wonder now, like they're not. I think I'm very good at saying how I feel and being very upfront, but a lot of my family's kind of, I don't want to say passive aggressive, because my parents are kind of aggressive people in a good way. But they're not really good at talking about their feelings. So sometimes I wonder if, like, they still feel.
Do you feel like they're the same way?
What do you mean?
Like, are you open?
I feel very open now.
Yeah, because I found when you stand up, it was very open, and I like that.
It was very open.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's very personal, and it's dark. I like that.
Yeah.
And it was very like bang, but it was very structured and unassuming. Like I wasn't expecting that, which is nice because that's a stand-up. It should be a surprise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to be. I think because I got sober, I'm much more honest. Because I wasn't honest when I was drinking. I would try and hide it and like just lie a lot and all kinds of stuff. So.
Yeah, when you're living a healthy lifestyle, you become like rooted to like the earth and like the truth.
Yeah.
When you're fucking using chemicals and bullshit, like the people you meet,
they're
a
sketchy.
Lie.
Everything's very sketchy.
Yeah.
Nothing's true anymore. It's hard.
You're leading with the ego.
Everything's a fog all the time. And I have a temper, so I felt like I would be angry so much more. So it was like very tough.
When was the last time you were angry that you felt like was unmanageable, and how did you resolve it?
I felt angry probably like a week ago. I can flare up, and I was upset, and I don't think it was rational, but it was like this guy I had been with or whatever. He was like, I heard, like found out about him with some girl or whatever, and I was like really upset about it, and then
Were you
I
guys
just took a
still
walk.
together?
No, not together, but. That was why, too. I was like, this isn't rational, because I was like, I'm overreacting. So I just took a walk.
The ego's bruised, you're a little jealous.
Yeah.
And then it's also, well, it could be a whole
That was what it was. And I had to, because normally there have been times where I've gotten so angry, I just break stuff outside, just trash or whatever. And it's like, I can't. It was funny because Derek one time was like, you can't do that because you could, you could cut yourself open or whatever. And when I was younger, it felt like my anger was so unchecked, I would get into fights and stuff. But now I haven't done that. So now it was just just walk. And I do think I'm mellowing out more with age. Now I'm still young. I'm 28, but it's like I noticed from my early 20s to now, I'm much more mellow. And then once I was mad the whole day. I was very angry. And I told my best friends, I was like, this is what happened.
That's
I'm
just
pissed.
annoying when it lingers.
It lingers with me. That's the thing that's hard with me is it's because some people are like, oh, aren't you glad you didn't react? I'm like, no, because then I think about it.
Yeah, no,
it
I'm fucking
stays with me.
internalizing it, and even though I'm talking about it a little bit, it's still with me.
It stings. So I had to walk it out and think.
And we're talking about the
same situation. So it really upset me, and then now I feel better. And I remember thinking, because I saw him and I was pissed, I was like, just wait till therapy. You have therapy every Monday. Just wait till therapy. But along the way, I talked about it with friends. So I feel like now I'm really good about being this is bothering me. Because in the past, when I was like 20, I wouldn't have talked about it. I probably would have just thrown fists, just been pissed or whatever. So now I'm much better at being like, stop. Sometimes I still snap at people. Like new people, I have a hard time. I can just be really short with. Like all of my best friends are like, you were very aggressive when you first came into the scene. I think because also I'm a woman, so I'm like, I don't want anyone to try to like flirt with me or whatever in comedy. But it's a little too aggressive, I think. So I try to not like snap off or,
Yeah, you're like, you hold it right there type, like I'm not allowing any of that bullshit. And that's not, I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if that's...
It's not, because I feel very respected.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, earlier today we talked about, I asked you the question last time you met, and I wasn't mad, but I had a situation where a friend I used to get high with, he's not a friend. He's like an acquaintance,
someone you
right?
would smoke with.
From early on,
right?
So I moved on. But I see him every so often, and when I see him, he asks for things that I can no longer do.
Right.
But I can maybe do his podcast. There's not really a podcast though. There's nothing happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna really put my time out there. It's like
you need to guard your time.
Yeah, it's like a live on Instagram is not a podcast. Like you gotta do my show. It's not a show. It's like. But I'm not going to be that aggressive, like, you don't have shit going on. I'm not going to say that.
Right.
But my time is valuable to me. I'll do it, but, let's do it on a Zoom where it's not like you're just calling me and like, yo, you're on the line. He never showed up to a time that we had set up. And every time I see him, prior to that, his attitude is like I owe him something. So I don't know if that's rooted from jealousy or he thinks I think I'm better than him. But the fact that I never really knew you. Like we hung out a few times under the influence. And I given him the time.
Yeah.
Very sober, and I explained to him, I just don't do that, But so I saw him like last week, and I knew he saw me, but he acted like he didn't see me, and that annoyed me.
Yeah, that's irritating.
I was like, so now you're trying to twist it like I did something to you. I actually.
Right.
And then it happened again today. So I let it slide, but then it was gnawing at me. I was like, it was gnawing at me like a woodchuck on a piece of wood. Like, and I hated that I was thinking about on my way to you. So I called this motherfucker. I said, yo, your energy is weird.
Right.
I saw you. You act like you didn't see me. I don't know if it's those black glasses you wear, but I did acknowledge you. What's good? Oh, yeah, we good,
But that's the thing, too, is that what I noticed with anger, especially if someone is trying to, like, piss me off, I've realized, I'm like, oh, they want your attention in a weird way.
And he got my attention. My attention. But I did it, and I'm happy I did it in a way that I confronted the situation. And now it's like, listen, I know the fucking deal. I'm not acting, because I felt like, and I don't know if I'm bugging Espi, when he walked by me, and this could be my man, I felt like he went like this. And did like a middle finger, and I'm not sure.
I think you should trust your gut though too. I always
that was definitely the energy is off.
Right.
And he didn't admit to not seeing me, but he didn't admit to seeing me either.
Right.
And he said, let's meet up in person, and and I was like, we could do that. Not necessary, because I'm confronting the situation. How you want to respond to it,
is however.
So it's like you could do that, But I think people are also they're like, oh shit, like he's not.
People don't like it when. Because not that they don't like it. I think people are surprised, and I'm very direct. So when you go right up to them, that kind of throws them off. Even if you go nicely, too. They're very thrown off.
But I was also very like, yo, the energy is weird.
Right.
Like, let me know, because I'm not going to continue doing this, like looking your way, and you act like you don't see me. It's like, oh, no, I didn't see you. Like, I'm not doing that game. Just let me know. And if there's something like that, you should let her, because you'll probably feel better. Because
you will.
It starts to annoy me a little bit.
And then that's every time you see that person, if you don't address it, it's just going to be worse and worse.
Yeah,
it's
for
very
what?
toxic.
Like, I have no, ties with this person.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a weird thing when we don't address a situation. Like, you got to address situations.
You have to.
It's the best thing to do. Like, communicate. And then you realize how trivial it is.
You do, yeah.
But a lot of times, we're carrying on someone else's shit. And, like, that's your shit. And I think people, and there's a way to say it, but like, that's your shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, understand where I'm at, And I don't mean like in life. I'm just like where I'm coming from.
Right.
You know.
That's why I'm so glad I'm in therapy too, because that helps having some, especially because I deal with so many comics all the time. I don't have a lot of friends outside of stand-up comedy right now. So it's like it helps to have someone that's totally unbiased to be like, well, maybe you did this a little wrong or you could do this differently. But it's helped to just open me up a lot more, especially as I think of myself as an angry person. I don't think people see that as much now because I'm much more controlled, but it's like it's taken a lot of discipline and a lot of me being like, oh, I'm sorry I acted that way. Being able to go back and apologize and be like, yes, I did mess up here and there.
And being sober, you do find that's easier to unravel and pull that. It's just more clear.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be fucking wrong. We're all wrong.
We all mess up. It's normal.
We all mess up. Yeah, we all mess up. But that's another. Sobriety has given me a lot, but it's giving my self-esteem back. Yo, you think if I was drinking, if I would have handled that like that, I would have been different. Maybe I would have did around as well. The fuck, like, or I would have not addressed it. Like, it feels so good.
It's funny because you think
back.
that drinking makes you more confident. That's why I drank a lot. I was like, this makes me more confident. I was at the lowest point of my life when I was drinking, and now I'm so much more confident. The more I keep like chugging along the sober life, I just feel every year more and more confident and focused.
Yeah. I can relate to that. I think that's a huge gift you're giving yourself, and that's fucking 6 years, and that's a feat. So 6 years? There's never been a slip up. That's fucking impressive. And if there is, yeah, I mean, when I had slip ups, they were nasty ones. They were like,
I'm sure.
Yeah, there were slip ups where I would find cocaine and do like drugs I found. You know how dangerous that shit is?
I would smoke cigarettes off the ground a lot and stuff like that.
Like a little raccoon?
Yeah. I did that. I'm not going to lie. I did that like last year during pandemic too.
Really?
I was, like, high.
Yo, if it's some of that stuff, it's like Sergio. Sometimes I have American Spirit.
I love
5 hours.
American Spirits are great.
Yeah,
they're the best.
But, I'm always looking at the ways for improvement. What's the next thing that you want to do personally that you feel like it could be stand-up wise, it could be health wise? What's the next thing that you have like a goal?
I'm very. I write out a lot of goals.
Oh,
but
I love writing stuff.
Yeah,
because you're held accountable.
You are,
and you're physically.
And you can
like,
look at it every day, and you're like, all right, this is something I got to do.
Whiteboard.
Yeah,
what do you use?
I have just paper, but it's on my table, and then every day I read through them.
I picture the paper all over the cabinet.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is interesting, Espi.
Yeah.
Like, don't touch anything.
I have like all these affirmations on my wall. But 2, I'm very focused. I want to get into 2 more comedy clubs. I want to get past. I stand up New York and New York Comedy Club. I'm like, I feel like I see how to get in there, and I'm just gonna keep showing up. But I'm in 2 clubs. I produce at Comedy Shop, and then I'm in at the Grizzly Pear. So I'm like, all right, now they give me spots and stuff. So I just want to keep moving into the next thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You have a website?
No.
You have your Instagram.
My
Share
Instagram.
the Instagram.
Espi Rivadeneira.
Yeah.
It's hard to spell. Yeah.
I love the last name. I love the fact that I was able to say it correctly.
You did it. Yeah, you
did it.
Yeah.
One and done. Espi, I appreciate your energy, your time, and the story. And I want to definitely have you on again. And you're the bomb boogie.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. This was great.
My pleasure. That's another episode of the DBS podcast. Follow my homegirl. Make sure you share, like, comment, all that good stuff. We out. It's another one of the books. Peace.
Bye.
I mean, it's always going to be Dirtbag Shit podcast. The DBS podcast.